You're in the shower, minding your own business, when suddenly your brain hits play on a high-definition replay of that time you called your boss by your ex's name. Your chest tightens, you physically wince, and for a solid 10 seconds, the feeling of humiliation is as fresh as the day it happened. Then, just as quickly, you're back. It's just you and the soap. You didn't ask for that memory. It was an ambush. Today, we're unpacking why this happens and how to disarm these memory bombs. There's a perfectly good name for these surprise attacks from your past. Psychologists call them involuntary autobiographical memories. It's a mouthful that just means memories about your own life that pop up without you trying to find them. Researcher Dortha Bernson's work shows these are a totally normal feature of a healthy mind. In fact, most of them are neutral or even positive. The cringeworthy ones just feel more important because they arrive with that jolt of emotion, grabbing all the attention in the room. So, where do they come from? To understand that, we need to look at what your brain is doing when you're doing nothing. When you're showering, driving, or just zoning out, your brain isn't off. It's in what scientists call the default mode network. Identified by neurologist Marcus Reichel, this network is a collection of brain regions that hums to life when we're not focused on the outside world. It's the part of us that daydreams, plans for the future, and reflects on ourselves. This network is incredibly active. Your brain, while only about 2% of your body weight, uses a whopping 20% of your energy. And the default mode network is a huge part of that baseline activity. In one famous study, researchers pinged thousands of people on their smartphones and found that their minds were wandering nearly half the time. That's a lot of opportunity for your inner monologue to start digging through the archives. And because this network is all about you, the memories it serves up are usually self-relevant. But why the cringe memories? It turns out your brain has a built-in, lightning-fast mistake detector. Using EEG, scientists can see a specific electrical spike in the brain called the error-related negativity, or ERN. It fires within 50 to 100 milliseconds of you making a mistake. That's faster than you're even consciously aware you messed up. It's a preconscious uh-oh signal. And studies consistently find that people with higher levels of anxiety have a larger, louder ERN signal. Their brains are screaming error when others might just whisper it. That initial alarm then gets amplified. When the mistake is a social one, like that terrible joke that landed with a thud, the brain treats it with extra gravity. Neuroimaging studies, like those by Naomi Eisenberger, show that the feeling of social rejection or embarrassment activates some of the same brain regions as physical pain. Specifically, the anterior cingulate cortex and the insula, which are involved in both the distressing feeling of pain and our gut feelings. That stab of cringe isn't just a metaphor. Your brain is processing it like a real injury. This might sound like a design flaw, but from an evolutionary perspective, it's a brilliant safety feature. For our ancestors, social connection wasn't a nice-to-have. It was the key to survival. Being ostracized from the group meant losing access to food, protection, and mates. So our brains developed a hypersensitive alarm system for social blunders. That cringe replay is your brain's way of saying, hey, that thing you did? Don't do that again. It could be dangerous. It's an overprotective but well-intentioned survival siren. And there's a reason so many of these cringe replays are set in our teenage years. Research by neuroscientist Sarah Jane Blakemore shows that during adolescence, the part of the brain responsible for self-evaluation and thinking about what others think of us, the medial prefrontal cortex, is in overdrive. As a teenager, your brain is working hard to build a social map of the world and figure out your place in it. Moments of social success and failure from this era get tagged with a high-priority "This is important" label, giving them a lifetime pass to the front of your memory queue. Normally, our negative emotions have a shorter shelf life than our positive ones, It's a phenomenon called the fading affect bias. The sting of being stuck in traffic last Tuesday fades much faster than the joy of a surprise party. But social embarrassment is a notorious exception to this rule. It can hold on to its emotional charge for years, even decades. This is because the memory isn't just about an event. It's about our identity, our social standing, and our deep-seated need to belong. That makes the emotional tag extra sticky. To make matters worse, our brains think they can solve the problem by replaying it. After an awkward event, many of us fall into what researchers call post-event processing. We mentally review the interaction, analyzing every word, every gesture, looking for what went wrong. For people with social anxiety, this review can last for hours or even days. But here's the cruel twist. Instead of solving the problem, this obsessive replay strengthens the neural pathways of the memory. You're not fixing it, you're just practicing it, making it more vivid and easier to recall next time. Okay, that all sounds a bit grim, but here comes the truly amazing part. Your brain has a built-in edit button. Groundbreaking work by neuroscientists like Karim Nader showed that when a memory is recalled, it doesn't just get read. It becomes temporarily unstable or labile for a short period before it's stored again. This process is called reconsolidation. Think of it like taking a document out of a filing cabinet. For a few hours, it's on your desk, and you have a chance to add a sticky note before you file it away again. This reconsolidation window is your opportunity. What you think and feel while the cringe memory is active can influence how it gets resaved. You can't erase the memory, but you can change its emotional flavor. By consciously pairing the old memory with a new, more compassionate understanding, you can start to soften its sharp edges. You are essentially adding a new note to the file. A note that says, "I was young and learning," or "That was awkward, but I survived." Over time, these small edits can dramatically reduce the sting. So, what does this look like in the heat of the moment? The first step is simple. Name what's happening. The second the cringe memory hits, just say to yourself, "Ah, an involuntary memory. This is my brain doing its overprotective thing." This simple act of labeling creates a little bit of distance. You're not in the memory anymore. You are the observer of the memory. It stops the emotional spiral before it can gain momentum. Next, actively switch to self-compassion. The default response is to criticize ourselves, which just adds another layer of pain. Instead, talk to yourself like you would talk to a dear friend who just told you this story. You wouldn't say, "Wow, you're an idiot." You'd say, "Oh, that sounds so tough. Nerves get the best of everyone sometimes." This response, as studies by researchers like Mark Leary have shown, directly counteracts the feelings of shame that give these memories their power. The brain hates an unsolved problem. Cringe memories often feel like an open loop. To give your brain a sense of closure, create a simple, concrete plan for the future. This is called an implementation intention. Even if the situation is unlikely to happen again, the act of planning is powerful. If I ever forget someone's name again, I will just smile and say, "I'm so sorry, please remind me." This tells your brain's error monitoring system, "Okay, problem solved, you can stand down now." If a particular memory is really persistent, schedule a 5-minute after-action report later in the day. This is based on decades of research by James Pennebaker on expressive writing. Find a quiet spot, set a timer, and write freely about the embarrassing event and how it made you feel, then and now. Don't worry about spelling or grammar. The goal is to translate the jumbled emotion into a coherent story, which helps your brain process it and reduces its tendency to pop up uninvited. Now, it's crucial to say that these techniques are for everyday cringe memories. If you are experiencing frequent, intense, and distressing intrusive memories, especially those linked to a traumatic event, this is different. Those are not a quirk. They are a sign that you need and deserve support. Please, reach out to a mental health professional. The tools we've discussed are helpful for life's awkward moments, but they are no substitute for professional care when you truly need it. So, let's turn this insight into action. Try a 1-week experiment. For the next 7 days, every time a cringe memory ambushes you, run the 3 steps. Name it. Be kind. Make a plan. Just once. At the end of the week, just notice. Is the sting a little less sharp? Does the memory fade a little faster? You're not trying to erase your past. You're learning to be a kinder editor of your own life story. If this helped, join us again as we explore another quirk of the amazing and sometimes weird human mind.